What's up? What's up? Okay, 3:54. It's late. Say Monday. It's Monday, right? Yeah, it's Monday. And started late. Had some other things to do today. Yeah, went to work. Back at work. So back at work. Yep. Said we're gonna have a light peak season this year. We'll see about that. Anyway, so let's go ahead. Let's set that timer, dude. Set that timer, dude. Set that timer to 60 minutes. Alright. 62 minutes. Okay. So, we stopped at line 743 in server pi yesterday. And what were we doing? Okay, right. We introduced a bug. Yeah, we introduced a, well, we introduced a bug. It's true, but it might have been a good thing actually, which sounds really weird. Anyway, we refactored some of this code that was not so great, and when we went to go test it, it was not doing very well. At the beginning, it was doing the waiting other player thing. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna just jump right in and we're gonna test it. So we're gonna copy this, paste that into all three of our terminals. We're gonna crank up the server. There's the server. We're gonna crank up the client. There goes client 1, and now we're gonna do the same thing with client number 2. And I bought a new mouse. I didn't buy a new mouse. I bought a new keyboard. My mouse is actually fine, I think. But I bought a new keyboard. I don't know if it's T-Moose. It's gonna be a while before it gets here. Actually bought 2 of them, and I'm gonna return whichever one I don't like. But as you can see, the bug that we're dealing with is player 2 connects and it says, "What is your name?" And he can type in his name and stuff, and then client 1 is waiting for the other player to join the server, and that seems to be just, you know, perpetual. And when we hit enter for his name, waited like the 3 seconds, and yeah, there's no data exchange going on here because of client 1. It's still stuck in this waiting for the other player early stage of the game. So let's look at our terminal here and deduce what the problem is. I'm willing to bet, I'm almost certain actually, it's due to changes that we made in the server yesterday in server pi, because it ran fine before that, and I was actually really careful about testing it after every little change that I made, you know, for this exact reason, because I know any change you make can destroy your code. So I am suspecting that if we go up to the top of the section that we modified, well, let me pause. Let me look at this output real quick. So we have game state draw. So we get to the draw one in progression. Okay, so let's go to server. Let's run through what's going on here. Name is equal to main, and from there we have setup being run. Then we instantiate the server, or instantiate. I think that's the correct term. Then we find a server to listen. We start accepting clients. Then we start the game with the draw one, and now we have the 2 client threads working in tandem with this main thread here, and we send out. Actually, I don't know if this is a send or a receive. So this is in change. Oh, okay, so this is actually change attribute list. I added this Um, 76 and then 78. 76. If A list is equal to C1 change attribute list. Okay. Oh, right. Because it's changing it for both of them. Yeah, because the answer is to draw one. Duh, I'm an idiot. You gotta bear with me. I'm slow as molasses over here, right? So. Let's see if we can find this. We have the draw one. So yeah, 4-player for current game of P1 P2 game, it changes it the game state to the draw one, and that's what we're seeing here. This is game 1, and this is game 2. So then we send from the server side, and this is from client number 2. We send the game state, which is now the draw one, and all that, over to client number 2, and that's why client number 2 works. But why does this show after? Go to progression text. What is your name? Well, this is kind of strange. Why does this show after we actually have sent? I'm like, wait a second. How does this happen before this? Because a list, yeah, this is changing the progression text to what is your name and changing input text active to true. So we have what is your name, text input active, true. And this is a send, so it can't send it until the data's been appended to the change attribute list. But isn't that what this does? Okay, it actually does data transfer function first. Yeah, it gets appended first, okay. And then it runs the calloc list function. It detects it that fast, like between the time that we append to the between the time we change the data on the main thread, which calls this function, before it gets into calloc list function, after being appended. Wait a second. That's that fast? How the fuck? Because it doesn't get appended to the list until right here. That is... So it sets that data, and then that calls change attribute list function, data transfer function, and that is going to assign the change attribute list and all that, create the tuple, and then it calls calloc list function, and that appends the data to the change attribute list right here. And between this line and this line, which is insane, it processed the send on the other thread, which is just crazy. That's so fast that it did that. Yeah, anyway, that's just baffling to me that that was that fast. And then, because I was like, is that bugged or something? Am I missing something here? But no, it's just that fast. That's crazy. Wow. I think that was sort of luck of the draw, though. I don't think it would normally beat it like that. Alright, so anyway, I was just curious about how that was happened so quickly, but I guess it's just a luck of the draw anyway. So then we send this data, the change attribute list, and that sends the game state of the draw one to client 2. Okay, but and then it sends the progression text, what is your name, to client 2. Well, this is all together, it happens at once. But it's not sending it to client 1. So that's the issue here, is it's not sending to client 1. So it's changing the data, as we can see, for client 1. But we don't get this output right here. We don't get this assignment. We don't get this output for client 1, where it, change attribute list, progression text, what is your name, and then text input active to true. Name P1 game. Enter name bool is equal to false. P2, and it passes in P2 game. So when it runs P1 game first, this is going to check that. It's gonna assign what is your name. And that raises the question, why does it not print out that? Because that would change the progression text right here for game 1, and then if we go to game and we look at def progression text, okay, with progression text lock, so for the setter, if it's the server side, then we acquire the lock. Okay. Do we? All right. And then we run the core function, which it would enter into this else, and then it would call data transfer function with the cal object int equal to the self ID. So this should be game 1's ID, because it takes the game object here and we pass in the game object from right here. So that's the right object. Like, I don't have any bugs there. I mean, it's got to be in server. I just want to, you know, trace the points from the beginning, and then it should enter data transfer func with the object int being 1 and the game object being p1 game, and then the caltube equal to game progression text val. And do we actually need the game object? Okay. Yeah, we actually don't have to pass the game object. We could literally just pass we just use the integer. Just realized this. Yeah, we don't actually need the game object here because we already pass in the self ID, and that, well, unless we can't import game here, we might not be able to import game. That's why, because game imports change attribute list, and then if we were to import it here, that would be circular. Does game actually do that? I'm pretty sure it does. 687. Let's go back. Yeah, it does. Yeah, that would be circular. Okay. So anyhow, so that actually is correct. For this, passing in the game object as an argument. Otherwise, how do we have access to it? Alright, so then once that gets called, we pass in all the correct stuff. We have the game object p1 game, self ID equals 1, caltube, all that should be correct, and then it's going to enter into this function here, and cal object game would be 1, and then it would enter into this, ss or cs is equal to ss. Right, for server side. So then the reentrant lock is C1 cal reentrant lock. With the reentrant lock, assign the cal object, to C1 change attribute list. Okay, that should be good. And then here, if SS or CS is SS, which it would be, if cal object n is equal to 1, we increment the apply counter. And if it's not in transferred game matters, we increment the other counter. Okay. And then, yeah, this is old, we can get rid of this. That was the 4 counter system, but now we use 2. Okay. Then we assign the cal tube. That should all be good. Then we have, if SS or CS is SS, we use that reentrant lock. We're not recursively doing that, are we? No, yeah, we're not recursively. The reentrant lock acquisition is way up there. Then we call the cal lock list function, passing in the cal object, which in this case would be the C1 change attribute list. Yeah. Okay. With A, then we pass cal tube and the reentrant lock. All that should be good. Okay, so then we go to the cal lock list function, and with the reentrant lock, we pass in all of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so that's the 4th one is the lock. Okay, yeah, that's right. And then it appends the data to the list, which would be the C1 change attribute list. Okay, if data2 is equal to game state, and then it enters well, it does this, well, duh. Data to creator should only ever log when the draw 1 is changing the game state to the draw 1. This should only ever log when the draw 1 is changing game state to the draw 1. We're testing if you're not seeing this data. Is it main thread or client thread? Okay, so this is to determine. Right, because if it's running this part on the server side, which it is, but the client side never receives it, then it's something with the data transfer, which makes sense because we changed the server stuff. And then we have change attribute list, game state draw 1. But I'm just wondering, why does this run at line 78? A list, because data 2 isn't game state and data 3 isn't the draw 1. So what's your name, game? Confused as usual. Okay, so let's go to server because this is where the problem is going to be. We messed something up. Where did we start? Okay, so we moved a lot of stuff up here. And this is where we began making changes. Well, actually, hold up. What if it's way up here? Remember we modified this before threaded client, because this is actually way early on. This is way up. Or was it client that we changed? No, I don't think it was client. No, it wasn't. It wasn't client. Yeah, it was server. We didn't change the client file. Oh, here we go. How did this happen? So you see this indent is messed up? I mean, technically this works, but why is this indent like this? I don't think I changed this. I didn't change this. Why is this like that? I don't think that's like the problem, but nonetheless, that indent was wrong, which is strange. Okay, so we changed this. Client was equal to 1, current client, client ID, current game, current player, lock. Um, This is data application. Hold up, let's go back up here and look at the, what's this indent here? With conlock ready. Oh, wait, we're supposed to do all this with conlock. Okay, hold up. This is messed up. This is messed up. I see. We're using with conlock, and then ready, and then if ready. But conlock's already been acquired. Okay. Is there a reason why we have conlock right there? I don't think there's a good reason for that. Yeah, so this part's messed up. Right here. With conlock. And then we do ready, and then if ready, but then we grab conlock again. So what we should be doing is instead we should manually acquire it. So we should say conlock dot acquire right here. So now we release the lock if. We have to add an else to release the lock. So we have to come all the way down here. Else. Yeah, because we acquire it, but if it's not ready, we want to release. Okay. We're gonna go way back up here. Okay, so this should be fixed now. So if ready, or we have conlock acquire, then we have ready, which handles the con, then we do if ready, which I don't know if that handles the con, but I know this does, obviously. So then we release after this one. And then we have the else below in the case that we're not ready to receive anything, so we would immediately release that lock. Then if we did enter in the if, we release it, get the header amount, all this stuff, do current client ID. Then we get the con lock again because we handle con. Same thing if it's client 2. Then this is just some comment stuff. Okay, now we like do the action that we're trying to do in this function. Well, for client 1, then for client 2. And we could probably didn't we already assign the sent data storage dict and all that? I'm pretty sure. Client ID is equal to 1. List. See this right here, the sent data storage dict assignment, the received data storage dict assignment. We already know the current client ID. From the very beginning. So like this is one of those things where we would only have to assign it once. Now this, you know, we would have to redo, and this and all this stuff. But intended recipient equals receive data. I gotta use the restroom real quick. I'm just looking at this. I see. This is for, which section is this? This is for receive, okay. Yeah, so this is in the receive section. And yeah, this could, like, this would already have been assigned. Else, if intended recipient. So, well, actually, no. Okay. This, I'm trying to figure out if this changes. The sent data storage dict is C1 to C1 here, but since we're on client 1 and this is the receive section, client 1 server side sends to both client 1 and client 2. So why does this assume to be C1 to C1? How do we know that it's not C1 to C2? Yeah, I'm not positive about this. I have to check this line. Okay, because I know. All right, I understand. Because we only receive from client, the associated client. So if our current client ID is 1, then we're gonna reference the C1 to C1. Okay, that makes sense. And then if else, that means we received from the client the data is intended for. Since CSS is going to be sent in terms of 1 to 1, 2 to 2, but it is meant to respond to the other client. I need to review that part. So this part I verified, but this part with the intended recipient, because we modified the logic and stuff to where like we have the transferred system, but doesn't the transfer list just transfer it to the change attribute list? Isn't that how that works? The transfer list hands it off to the attribute list. And so if we got something from client 2 to client 1, it would go from 2 to 2 and then transfer from 2 to 1 on the server side. And it would have an intended recipient, which would be equal to 1. I'd have to review this again. I gotta review this section, but I gotta use the restroom real quick. This part's it's stumping me, this part here. So this one right here, the intended recipient, I'm just going to review that later. I'll put a note here. I don't want to get any more sidetracked than I already am. Okay, so anyway, this is correct. So that's all good. I understand that part. We have type of coordinate is equal to list. Okay, then we use the conlock to send. This is for receive verification. Recipient is equal to current client. Type of coordinate is equal to list. Length to receive count 2 is greater than 0. Okay, so we really are going to be concerned with the send section. So we go all the way down here. Okay, so this was where we had stopped, remember? Like right here. I thought we didn't even touch the send section. Section in, false, is equal to 1. Okay, no, so we did, because I remember can be cut in half by assigning most of these objects to client ambiguous namespacing. Do this next. Okay, I'm just gonna test real quick because I honestly, I'm really like I don't see anything wrong here. I might have just looked right over it, but I don't, unless it was that indent thing that I fixed. Okay, there it goes. So yeah, I guess it was that indent thing. Um, but I wanted to understand. Like I don't understand. Like I fixed the bug, but what was the problem exactly? So it wasn't, because I didn't really change anything in send. What's this? Add that comment here. And that's not even the send section. I didn't modify anything in the actual send section. And the issue seemed to have been that the server wasn't sending the data to the client. Because if the logic flaw was in server, which it was, because it's fixed now. Let me just verify that it's fixed and that wasn't like a fluke. What? Okay. Yeah, so it's working now. Strange. And the only thing that I changed was... God, this shit is a rat's nest, dude. Like... And I'm the one who created it. So it was just this lock thing that I had going on. So I want to see, was it this indent issue? Let's save that. Make sure I don't accidentally type anything, because then it would mess up my undo redo trail. Okay, so it wasn't that. Alright, now let's go back over here and keep redoing. So then we had with conlock. So we had a recursive conlock. We had a recursive lock acquisition. We had with conlock, and then how did that happen? I swear, dude, I literally didn't hit a key, and it just messed up my redo, my undo redo trail. Like, what the fuck, dude? I didn't push anything. No way, huh? Oh man. So now I gotta redo this? What the fuck? Bro. Ah. How the fuck, dude? God damn it, man. How did I do that, bro? I swear I didn't hit a button. Like, my keyboard must have did that on its own. I mean, it's nothing really, but still, it's a pain in the ass when that happens. That's really dangerous. I should probably like copy and paste or copy the section that I'm reviewing before I start undoing and then go like redo. Because if you type at least one key in between undoing and redoing it, you lose your trail. You can't redo it again. So that's shift tab to be. Now we're gonna do conlock release right here, and then we're gonna do else all the way down here. Else conlock release, and then attached to if ready 0. Okay, so we go all the way back up here. Yeah, so we fixed this. This can now be moved here, and then this can be moved here. Now we can get rid of this. And now this will be here. Same thing here. Whoops. Same thing here. Okay. There we go. So it should be back as it was. Except the intended recipient thing. Alright, Mo. Alright, bro. Okay. Got it. I thought that timer stopped. I mean, it's good that it keeps going, you know. But, anyway, okay, so this was, we should be back where we were after I messed up my, from where I messed up my undo redo trail. So let's crank up both of the clients and, let's see. Okay, yeah, so there we go. Everything's back working. So apparently it was, a recursive lock acquisition. But you know, uh-oh, see this? Okay, hold up, wait a second. That's not... Okay, no, it's working. That's just a funny progression text. We gotta fix that. It's not bugged per se, but it's just like ugly. It's wonky. It needs to be prettied up a little bit. But so we did fix the bug. So apparently it was just a recursive lock acquisition, and for whatever reason, the client 1 would not work. I don't know how client 2 was working though, because the code is the same. So I'm just kind of confused as to why client 1 was not working, but client 2 was working. Oh, I know. Okay, okay. So, okay. Yeah, I'm on the cusp of completely understanding how this happened because I really don't like not, I like that I fixed the bug, but I don't like not understanding why it happened. Like what, I don't understand it completely. So we acquired the lock, and at that point we had, like right here, we would have gotten, but ready, we wouldn't have been ready to receive anything. So that shouldn't have been a problem. I'm so confused. Why would it, if ready, if nothing is even ready to have been received, how did that fix the bug? Whatever, I'm not gonna rack my brain over it trying to understand it. I mean, it is fixed, but oh, I understand. It acquired the lock here. It acquired the lock with the width. So then when it went down to the send section and tried to acquire the lock in the send section, I understand. Yeah, so then it used the con lock again, but it was already acquired. But why wasn't it acquired for client 2? It should have been already acquired for client 2. I mean, like the same thing should have happened for client 2. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, it works now, so whatever. Anyway, I'm gonna go eat dinner, and I'm gonna, I might code a little bit more. I might not. I'm kind of tired today. My brain's not really working. I'm just not really feeling it. Um, but anyway, we fixed the bug, so that's cool. So let's document that. That took way longer than it should have. Very simple fix, and I actually knew, like, I knew where the problem was gonna be. I just still don't understand it. Like, client one is acquiring the lock, and it's deadlocked. How come client two wasn't gridlocked? Same exact code. I hate not understanding like things, especially something that I created. You know, like I made that bug, and it just doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand why client 2 it wouldn't have done the same exact thing. Why it only worked client 1. Or maybe it's because, okay, so client 1, I guess it was like a race condition type situation where client 1 was able to send off. Now that doesn't make sense though, because client, I mean, they both sent just one thing, and I can't go back and look now, but I'm guessing like client 2 for whatever reason had enough time to put all of its data in a one send, as to where client 1 could only get in the first bit of data, but I don't think that's true. Honestly, I just don't understand it. It's gonna really drive me insane, but whatever. It's fixed now. I'll forget about it. It'll be gone, and who cares? Fixed. So maybe we actually fixed the maybe we fixed the intermittent version of it that was plaguing us before. But who knows? So we're not going to stage or commit our changes. We're just going to go ahead and quit. For now, I'm going to go eat. And that was a terrible session. Whatever. It is what it is. So.